I'd like to call the February Lafayette Common Council meeting to order this evening. We have some guests with us tonight to lead us in the pledge to our nation's flag. We'd like to welcome up Cub Scout Troop 3326.
All right.
Looks like maybe Webelos, maybe?
Right.
All right.
No more than any
Somebody's a mom.
Could we all please rise? Whenever you're ready. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Good job.
Don't worry.
Would the clerk please conduct a roll call?
Blinker,
Here.
Nargi,
Here.
Snyder, Reynolds, Brown,
Here.
Weiss. Aye. Williamson.
Here.
Downey.
Here.
Aldersmeyer.
Here. Thank you. I'd entertain a motion at this time to recess for a public hearing over ordinance 2023-02. Mrs. Hession-Weiss.
So moved.
Mr. Brown?
Second.
Would the clerk please read
All in
the...
favor.
Oh, sorry, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed. There we go. Would the clerk please, I want to make sure I got you this time.
Yeah.
Read it into the record.
Ordinance 2023-02, an ordinance for additional appropriation from opioid settlement unrestricted fund number 2256 and opiate settlement restricted fund number 2257.
Any comments or questions from council over this ordinance? Any from the public? Okay, seeing none. Mrs. Williamson, motion to reconvene.
So moved.
Mr. Downing?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? All right, we're back to business. Approval of the minutes, Mr. Klinker?
I move we approve the minutes as communicated.
Mrs. Nargi?
Second.
Do we have any communications about the minutes, changes, or questions? Okay, all those in favor of approving the minutes signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you. Presentation and petitions, communications reports of city offices on file in the clerk's office.
There are no presentation and disposal of claims or none petitions or communications.
Thank you. And the monthly reports for city offices.
Fleet maintenance monthly December, renewed department monthly December, and waterworks department monthly December.
And those can be found on the city's website if you would like to read those reports. On to ordinances for second reading. We have ordinance 2023-01.
An ordinance to amend ordinance 2022-36, an ordinance fixing the salaries of the appointed officers and employees of the city of Lafayette, Indiana for the year 2023, excluding the sworn protective occupation and law enforcement members of the police and fire departments.
Thank you, Ms. Hession-Weiss.
I move for consideration of ordinance number 2023-01 on second and final reading.
Thank you, Mr. Brown. Ms. Chesney.
All right, very good. Yes, last month, if you remember, we had the first reading of this ordinance that accomplished two things. It added the new social worker position into the police department and then also renamed a civilian position within the police department to community engagement manager. I will be asking for two amendments to that ordinance today. After some additional discussion, we would like to rename the social worker position to community advocate and resource navigator. And then also after further evaluation of the new community engagement manager position, we are also requesting that classification be changed from a PAT 2 to a PAT 3. And with that, I'll turn it over to the mayor to provide further explanation.
Thank you, Jackie. Appreciate that. Yes, we've looked at what we believe that position will be doing, the one that was originally called social worker, and we feel that this new title is more in line what we see those duties and activities and resources that they're going to try to bring to this position, working with our police department on a daily basis. So we feel that that name is more reflective and more appropriate of the job task. On the other one, we really felt after posting that job within the police department that unfortunately we did not receive any applicants that we felt would fulfill those job requirements in the way that we would like to see that done. It is a tight job market. And after some additional consultation and looking at other positions, we probably do have it one pay grade too low to really attract someone with the skill sets and the experience and the community knowledge that we're looking for. And so we believe it's appropriate to raise that one pay grade. We are not asking for any additional money or any changes to the budget. We will simply be frugal in other areas and make this work out. So, but we would appreciate your affirmative vote on both of these. We're very excited about these two new positions within the police department. Chief Galloway is here. If there's any additional questions that you might have, other than that, we'd appreciate your support.
Mayor, do you think that this, raising this particular position will help to get people?
I think so. When you look at salaries, I mean, it is still not going to be in the high range by any stretch of the imagination for, this type of position, but we're hoping to get somebody who, has the skills, maybe not quite as deep in his experience, but we feel we can train them in some areas, but has a love for the community and wants to be involved, in particular in their giving back almost in a way, being involved in something that meaningful. And we'll have to see. We certainly didn't put it at the height of the pay scale for a position like that. We'll give it a try.
Any other comments or questions from council? Thank you,
Thank
Mr.
you.
Mayor. Comments or questions from members of the audience over ordinance 2023-01? So first, we'll take a roll call vote on the amendment. Are you going to speak to that?
Yes, we will need, what I would like is a motion to amend ordinance 2023-01 to change the title of the new position from social worker to community advocate and resource navigator, and to further amend the ordinance to change the classification of the community engagement manager from a PAT 2 to a PAT 3.
So moved.
Thank you. And we're good to go. Any other comments or questions?
Take a vote.
Okay, so we'll do a roll call on the amendment first, and then we'll go back through and vote on the amendment as a whole. Okay. Mrs. Murray?
Blinker?
Aye.
Nargi? Aye. Weiss?
Aye.
Brown?
Aye.
Williamson?
Aye.
Downey?
Aye.
Amendment passes 6-0.
Thank you. Would the clerk please conduct a roll call vote on the ordinance as amended?
Yes. Blinker?
Aye.
Nargi? Aye. Weiss?
Aye.
Brown?
Aye.
Williamson?
Aye.
Downing?
Aye.
Amended ordinance passes 6-0.
Thank you. Next up for second reading is ordinance 2023-02.
An ordinance for an additional appropriation from the opioid settlement unrestricted fund number 2256 and opioid settlement restricted fund number 2257.
Thank you, Mrs. Williamson.
I move we hear and approve ordinance 2023-03 on final reading.
Thank you, Mr. Downing.
Second.
Excellent.
Oh, two, isn't it?
Oh, twos.
O2.
So sorry.
O2. Yes, thank you,
All
Ms.
right.
Chesney.
So this is second reading of an additional appropriation ordinance from our opioid settlement funds to fund the new community advocate and resource navigator position. I'm happy to answer any questions.
Comments or questions from council? Comments or questions from the audience on ordinance 2023-02? All right, seeing none, would the clerk please conduct a roll call vote?
Blinker?
Aye.
Nargi?
Oh, I'm so sorry.
Just had one quick question.
Yes, please, state your name and address.
Absolutely. Hello, everyone. My name is Brian Coker. I live at 529 Wellington Court, Lafayette, Indiana, 47904. I'm one of your precinct captains involved in the community. And I just had a question about the money appropriated for this. Does this, how many years does this kind of money plan out for a salary for a position like this? Is this going to get us for a few years? Is there a longer term strategy? So just any clarity that could be added on that, I was curious about.
Did you want that, Mayor? Okay.
Yes, thank you. Yes, thank you very much for your question. As you know, we did receive a significant amount of funds from these two settlements, and they're not the only settlements that we will receive funds for. So our goal actually is that we would create over time, and hopefully not too far down the road, actually a second position. We feel that we could use two. I think if the chief has his way, it will probably even be three. And I think there is significant money for, would you sit down? Okay. I feel like I'm talking to your back to answer your question, but there is significant money in there to last several years, and we plan to do that, and we also plan to begin to work it into the normal city appropriations over time. If this is as successful as we hope that it will be, then that's something that we will want to continue until hopefully those problems don't exist, which we would take a very long time. But yes, we plan to make these permanent positions within the opioid settlement and then begin to work them into normal budgetary annual appropriations to ensure that they continue.
And those funds were meant for this type of,
Yes. And Jackie, I apologize, I'm going to try to put you on the spot, but between the first two settlements, we got a total of,
Our first year installment that we received was about $470,000 that we received in 2022. We will not, that was a multiple year settlement, so the amount that we're going to receive this year, don't hold me to this, but I think it's closer to about an additional $50,000. So it will vary throughout the years, and as the mayor indicated, we do believe that there will likely be additional settlement monies coming in the future.
And is that split evenly between the restricted and unrestricted, or is there, what was the total of the
In
restricted?
terms of this additional appropriation,
What does it go to, too, while you're, if you could, just for the public to?
okay, so what we're doing is, this position, the funding that we are doing for this is funded 75%, I think approximately from the restricted portion of the funds and 25% from the unrestricted.
thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Any other questions from the audience? Madam Clerk.
Blinker,
Aye.
Nargi. Aye. Weiss. Aye. Brown. Aye. Williamson.
Aye.
Downing.
Aye.
Ordinance passes 6-0.
Thank you. Moving on to ordinances for first reading, ordinance 2023-03.
In order to amend the zoning ordinance, Tippecanoe County, Indiana, Uzo Amendment Number 109 regarding agricultural rental halls.
Thank you, Mr. Klinker.
I move we hear ordinance 2023-03 on first reading.
Thank you, Mrs. Nargi.
Second.
Excellent.
All right. Very good. So this is an amendment to our Uzo ordinance concerning agricultural rental halls, or otherwise known as party barns, which are currently allowed in the agricultural or agricultural wooded zone by special exception. Since 2013, there have been 14 special exceptions filed to allow an agricultural rental hall. 9 of those were approved, and 1 is being heard by the APC this month. With several of these, the APC became aware of concerns of property owners that live near existing or proposed party barns. So the APC staff began to take a closer look at how these should be handled under our zoning code. So this proposed amendment will accomplish a couple of things. The first amendment would change the ratio of parking spaces from 1 to 1 for every 4 guests, as opposed to the current 1 for every 2.5 guests. It also will add a new miscellaneous restriction section that would require efforts to address the concerns of neighbors, including commitments for hours of operation, maximum number of guests, and no amplified music outdoors would be added as additional restrictions. It also will add a required setback for the primary use building and a buffer yard for the parking area. This did pass the Area Plan Commission with a 16-0 vote.
Thank you. Comments or questions from council?
let me clarify, you said it goes from 1 to 2.5 to 1 to 4?
Yes, it
Or is
goes
the opposite?
from one parking space for every 2.5 guests. The amendment will take it one, I'm sorry, you are correct, Eileen.
Okay.
Thank you for catching me on that. As soon as I
That's
said
okay,
that,
I
that
just
didn't make
thought-
sense. No, you are correct. It is going, it currently is, yes, it goes from 1 for every 4 guests to 1 for every 2.5.
Okay.
Sorry
Okay.
about that.
I was gonna say,
Yeah,
I
that's,
was gonna
sorry.
ask the same
No, that's
question.
okay, because
Now, why did
I
Area
thought I
Plan think we
understood
needed
the
less
other way.
parking?
Any other comments or questions from council? Comments or questions from the audience on ordinance 2023-03? Will the clerk please conduct a roll call vote?
Blinker.
Aye.
Nargi. Aye. Weiss.
Aye.
Brown.
Aye.
Williamson.
Aye.
Downing.
Aye.
Ordinance passes 6-0.
Thank you. Next ordinance is ordinance 2023-04.
An ordinance to amend the zoning ordinance of Tippecanoe County, Indiana, to rezone certain real estate from I-3 to GB 3411 Fairfield Court, Zanuck Corporation petitioner.
Mrs. Hession-Weiss?
I move for consideration of ordinance number 2023-04 on first reading.
Thank you, Mr. Brown.
Second.
Thank you. We have Mr. Schrader here tonight. Welcome.
Great to be here. Good evening, everybody. My name is John Schrader. Since most of you don't know me, I'm here on behalf of the petitioner. I'm a new associate at Ball Eggleston, and I'm filling in for Joe tonight. He had a conflict. Just to give you a little background on this petition for rezone. First of all, the staff report of the Area Plan Commission staff recommended approval. That followed with a unanimous vote in favor of recommending approval by the Area Plan Commission. The lot itself is currently zoned I-3, but it is surrounded on three sides by GB zoning. One of its frontages is Fairfield Court. Its other frontage is Veterans Memorial Parkway. The industrial zoning dates back to the 1965 comprehensive plan. That was a point in this city's history when that part of town looked very different than it is today. So at this point, now that Veterans Memorial Parkway has been developed into the retail corridor it is today, industrial zoning no longer makes sense for this lot, and a general business zoning would be much more in accordance with the character of the neighborhood as it exists today. Further, on this lot, there is currently nothing. There used to be a vet clinic, but that was torn down. The owner of this lot, the Zanuck Corporation, is in the process of selling it. The buyer would like to put a small urgent care clinic on this lot, but that cannot be done under the industrial zoning. That is why we filed this petition. And the rezone to general business would allow that small urgent care clinic to be built. I don't think this needs to be beaten to death, and I don't think I need to belabor the point, so I will just conclude with the Area Plan Commission has already voted unanimously recommending approval. The current industrial zoning is more of an artifact of an old comprehensive map than it is an accurate reflection of this area as it exists today. And if this petition for rezoning is approved, it would allow a lot where nothing currently exists to be replaced with an urgent care clinic that would be of benefit to this part of town. Thank you.
Thank you. Comments or questions from council?
Mr. Schrader, I have no problem with this, but what kind of a clinic is this going to be, and what's the, how many people will it serve?
Yes.
At a given time?
Because my client is selling this and not the one directly involved in the building of it, I don't know the exact specifics. My understanding is it's going to be a small one-story clinic. I don't know the exact number of people that will be served. Based on the size of this lot, my guess is at any one given time, it's going to be a single-digit number of people that could be served by it.
It's not going to be a high density.
No, this is not going to be a high-density thing. We are not trying to build a new IUR net or change the character of the neighborhood.
Thank you.
Thank you. Any other comments or questions? Council?
We're gonna need a taller microphone, Mr. Schrader.
I was thinking I might need to get some funds to make an adjustable podium. We'll wait till I'm back here a few more times before that happens. But.
Thank you, Mr. Schrader.
Thank you.
Comments or questions from the public? Seeing none, would the clerk please conduct a roll call vote on ordinance 2023-04?
Blinker.
Aye.
Nargi. Aye. Weiss.
Aye.
Brown. Aye. Williamson.
Aye.
Downing.
Aye.
Ordinance passes 6-0.
Thank you. Ordinance 2023-05.
An ordinance to amend the zoning ordinance of Tippecanoe County, Indiana, to rezone certain real estate from I-3 to I-2, northeast corner of Maple Point Drive and Concord Road, Whisker LLC petitioner.
Thank you. Mrs. Williamson?
I move we hear and approve ordinance 2023-05 on first reading.
Thank you, Mr. Browning. Excellent. We have someone to speak to this ordinance?
Good evening, Ryan Munden with Reiling, Teeter, and Schreier here on behalf of the petitioner, Whisker LLC. Whisker LLC owns lots 2, 3, and 4, as well as Outlot C of Weir's subdivision. Karma Enterprises LLC owns Lot 1 as well as Outlot A of Weir subdivision. The property is located at the northeast section of the roundabout of Concord Road and Maple Point Drive. We're requesting the property be rezoned from I-3 to I-2. Petitioner has already built a single-story steel structure on Lot 4. The intent is to develop the remaining lots similarly. Purpose of down zoning from I-3 to I-2 is to expand the options for possible tenants of those buildings. At this time, the owners intend to lease up those buildings. Property's relatively small for heavy industrial. We believe I-2 creates a nice transition between the GB to the east and the I-3 to the west. In the APC staff report, where they recommended approval, they commented that I-2 zoning would be an appropriate use or an appropriate zone to help phase in the transition between the commercial and heavier industrial zoning. APC voted unanimously. I recommend approval of this rezone, so we're here tonight to respectfully request your approval. I'd be happy to answer any questions you have.
Comments or questions from council? Okay, comments or questions from members of the audience over ordinance 2023-05? Seeing none, would the clerk please conduct a roll call vote?
Blinker.
Aye.
Nardi. Aye. Weeze.
Aye.
Brown.
Aye.
Williamson.
Aye.
Downing.
Aye.
Ordinance passes 6-0.
Thank you. Next up is ordinance 2023-06. Mr. Clinker.
I move we hear ordinance 2023-06 on first reading.
Thank you.
Second.
Thank you. Oh, I'm sorry, I did it again. Read it into the record, please.
Ordinance 2023-06, an ordinance amending sections of Chapter 8.08 City of Lafayette Storm Code Water.
Thank you very much.
Good job, my motion still
Yeah,
stands.
come on, I'm sorry. I'm getting the cart before the horse up here. That's right.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen of council. My name's Jeremy Grenard. I'm the city engineer. And this update of the city's stormwater code has become necessary after the US EPA changed regulations, which required IDEM to re-permit with the EPA. In order to do that, IDEM changed what was their Rule 5 and Rule 13 to what they're now calling the Construction Stormwater General Permit and an MS4 General Permit. This was finalized at the state level in December of 2021, and there was a grace period to have all of the active and permitted projects either closed out or moved to this new permitting process. This is something that our departments have already accomplished for our city projects. We've already moved all of our active permits over to the new permitting process. The new EPA regulations also mandated that stormwater ordinances such as this one and the one that Tippecanoe County and West Lafayette have be updated to conform with the new regulations. Because the stormwater code of the three local jurisdictions is essentially the same, we worked with Christopher Burke Engineering to all update all of our code at the same time, so that we all still have the same regulations in essence. The Tippecanoe County Stormwater Code was approved in the second and final reading at the commissioners' meeting this morning. And not only did we add those elements that were required by the US EPA mandate, but we also took the opportunity to simplify the code by pointing users to the accompanying stormwater technical standards instead of before we had lists of items that they needed to include when they were applying for a permit. Now we point them to the technical standards where the list is there. That said, I'm here to recommend approval of ordinance 2023-06, and I'd be happy to answer any specific questions that you have tonight.
Mr. Grenner, are there any improvements that are needed to bring us up to code, or just wording and paperwork and permitting?
A lot of them were clerical in nature. They're very minor changes to the old stormwater code.
That was the question I was gonna ask. I mean, we spent buckets of money on stormwater stuff, and I'm glad we did. But, you know, I was hoping we'd stay ahead of the curve.
Yes, and we are with these updates.
Nice to have consistency between the entities, too.
Yes.
Eliminates
Any other
confusion.
comments or questions from council? Thank you very much. Comments or questions from members of the audience? Seeing none, would the clerk please conduct a roll call vote on ordinance 2023-06?
Linker.
Aye.
Nargi.
Aye.
Lees.
Aye.
Brown.
Aye.
Williamson.
Aye.
Downing.
Aye.
Ordinance passes 6-0.
Thank you. Next is ordinance 2023-07.
An ordinance of the Common Council of the City of Lafayette, Indiana, annexing certain territory into the City of Lafayette, Indiana, 2023 Lafayette Southeast Voluntary Annexation Car Property.
Thank you. Session Weiss?
Move for acceptance of ordinance number 2023-07 on first reading.
Thank you, Mr. Brown.
Second.
Moved and seconded. You want to give?
I think Brian's coming.
Brian's going to first come on up.
Good
Hello
evening,
again.
Ryan Munden, Ryling, Teeter, and Schreier here on behalf of the petitioner Carr Family Farm LLC. This is a voluntary petition for annexation into the city of Lafayette for 97.75 acres located in the county. The property is currently owned by our client and is zoned I-3. The property is bordered to the north by 200 South and to the west by Interstate 65, which is shown on Exhibit C to our petition. Property satisfies all requirements for annexation under Indiana code. The reason for our petition is that by getting into the city of Lafayette, it helps our client prepare for the property for economic development opportunities and helps both our client and the city with planning infrastructure for future development. There are a lot of exciting things going on in the city of Lafayette right now from a development standpoint. The Carr family looks forward to continuing to be involved in that. They've been involved in development on Haggerty Lane with Toyota Tushu and the SIA Logistics. So they look forward to future development opportunities for this property as well. So Guthrie Carr is with me this evening. We'd be happy to answer any questions you may have. With that, we would respectfully request your vote of approval. Thank you.
Just real quick, as a point of clarification, as Mr. Munden indicated, the Carr family parcel is about 92 acres. You will note in the ordinance, it references 132 acres, and just so that there's no confusion, that is because we are required to take in the adjacent roadways and public right-of-way. So that is what makes up the difference in the acreage between what Mr. Munden indicated and what you see in your ordinance.
I'd just briefly like to echo Mr. Munden's comments. This is a voluntary annexation. The city is glad to be working. As I said, we've worked with the Carr family in the past. It's went very well as we have developed a land that's brought substantial investment to the Lafayette community, and it allows us to continue to plan as we look at the Carr property, the Steele property, out in that area. As you know, we've done a lot of work on the Alexander Ross and the Berlowitz watershed. So as we look at utilities, needs for roads, how do we continue to do that? By having this annexation in place, it allows both parties to plan better, to work together, to continue to make sure that we have adequate resources and adequate land options for people as they continue to invest in our community. So we appreciate working with the Carr family. We'd respectfully request your affirmative approval of this annexation, and we'll continue to position our community for the future.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
So is a lot of the infrastructure already set there, or we'll have a lot of things to do out there?
We have a lot of it close. Obviously,
Okay.
we're there with Toyota to show,
Right.
with the SIA Logistics, along with the Steele property on the other side. There are things that we have to do with sizing and
Okay.
different things, but things are very close. So
Okay.
it makes sense for us looking to the future.
Yes.
Mayor, I'd like to commend you for your leadership in working with a lot of the private industry. We went to the chamber today, and I was very proud of the fact that I looked up there on stage, and there was no indication that there was any R or D by anybody's name. It was more about what is happening in the community and how we can work together. And I know that you indicated that you needed private people to work together with the city in order for us to become even better than we are right now. And Mr. Carr, I want to commend you for working with us and all of the private industry and private landowners and stuff who have made it such a wonderful community to live in and work with the city to achieve these kinds of goals so that we can become number one in just about every area.
Thank you.
And thank you so much, Mayor.
Thank you.
Further comments or questions from council? Members of the audience want to speak on ordinance 2023-07? Seeing none, would the clerk please conduct a roll call vote?
Baker?
Aye.
Nargi?
Aye.
Weiss?
Aye.
Brown?
Aye.
Williamson?
Aye.
Downing?
Aye.
Ordinance passes 6-0.
Thank you. And this ordinance does need to have a public hearing, so I'd entertain a motion for such on March 6th at 6:01 PM.
So moved.
Thank you. Seconded?
Second.
Thank you. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you.
And can I add one thing too? This will not be on the agenda for next month because we have a 30-day waiting period for the public. So you will see this at second reading in April, so don't panic if it's not.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Next up is ordinance 2023-08.
An amendment to ordinance 2010-11 establishing a local Ellsworth 17 South 7th Historic District in the city of Lafayette.
Mr. Downing.
I move to hear and approve ordinance 2023-08.
Mr. Finker.
Second.
Thank you. Hello, Mr. Collier.
Good evening, John Collier from the Economic Development Department. I also vote for an adjustable podium. So you have before you, well, we have two ordinances on the agenda tonight. The first district will be called the local Ellsworth 17 South 7th Street Historic District, and it was built in 1867. It was the original home of Temple Israel. The building is a rare example of Germanic Jewish architecture and is rated as notable. The Historic Preservation Commission received a letter of support for local designation from Michael Brown, the Executive Director of the Indiana Jewish Historical Society, and you have a copy of that letter in front of you. Interestingly, in that letter, Mr. Brown states that he can, quote, attest it is the oldest known purposely built synagogue building in Indiana and the 13th oldest known in America. Only two 19th century synagogues remain in Indiana. The other is in Ligonier, Indiana. So I think this is a really special designation. So the Historic Preservation Commission reviewed and recommended approval for this designation as a local historic district, and they would respectfully request your approval of that as well.
Thank you. Comments or questions from council? Any from the audience on ordinance 2023-08? Thank you. Would the clerk please conduct a roll call vote?
Baker?
Aye.
Nargi?
Aye.
Weiss?
Aye.
Brown?
Aye.
Williamson?
Aye.
Downing?
Aye.
Ordinance passes 6-0.
Thank you.
Next, we have ordinance 2023-09.
An amendment to ordinance 2010-11 establishing a local South 9th Street, 1114 State Street Historic District in the city of Lafayette, Indiana.
Thank you, Mrs. Nargi.
I move we hear ordinance 2023-09.
Thank you, Mrs. Fishman-Weiss.
Second.
Okay.
Guess I didn't get that.
All right, Mr.
Okay,
Collier.
great. So this district, as you said, is called the local South 9th Street Hill / 1114 State Street Historic District. This home was built in 1873 to 74. It was originally known as the Brockenbrough Murdoch House. It is the present-day home of the United Way of Greater Lafayette and Tippecanoe County and is now known as the Elmhurst Building. Originally, the building was Second Empire in style, but following a fire in the 1930s, the third floor and the mansard roof were removed, and it has since been known as an Italianate-style home. It is rated also as notable. So the Historic Preservation Commission reviewed and recommended approval for this, and they would respectfully request your approval for this designation as well.
Thank you. Comments or questions from council? Members of the audience on ordinance 2023-09? Seeing none, would the clerk please conduct a roll call vote?
Blinker?
Aye.
Nargi?
Aye.
Weiss?
Aye.
Williamson?
Aye.
Brown?
Aye.
Downing?
Aye.
Sorry. Ordinance passes 6-0.
Thank you.
And these are the kinds of things that make this community special.
Yep.
Next, we have ordinance 2023-10.
An ordinance for an additional appropriation in the general fund, Fund Number 1010.
Mr. Brown.
Madam Clerk, I ask that you hear and approve ordinance 2023-10 on first reading.
Thank you, Mrs. Williams.
Second.
Thank you. Is the chief
Chief, you wanna-
speaking? Yeah, come on up, chief.
Fire Chief Richard Doyle, thank you for considering this tonight. Before you is a contract with Fairfield Township so that the Lafayette Fire Department can serve that unincorporated area. The funding, I'd like to speak a little bit about what we're going to do with that. We've been waiting a while for this funding, and it's finally here. And the biggest chunk of it, about $500,000, will be used for a second set of bunker gear. That's the firefighter gear that you see our firefighters wear. And the reason we want a second set, we've just a little bit of an example. We've had 27 structure fires just this year. So what we really want our firefighters to do when they go into a building like that, because they basically get covered in smoke, which there's 27 known carcinogens that are in that normal house fire. And we want them to get that cleaned as quick as possible. It's almost impossible for us to do that because they have to get ready for the next fire, and they're coming so quickly that a second set of gear will give them the ability basically to remove that, bag it, put their reserve set on, and then get that cleaned. We have several locations that they can get that cleaned. You just don't put it in a regular laundry. You have to have special equipment to do that. And so that gives them the time to kind of change out, get into some fresh gear. It's also, we've had, we're probably one of very few departments in the state of Indiana. We've actually had 2 line of duty death from cancer designated. So we've had 2 firefighters that have died from cancer, and it's directly related to what they come in contact with over their career. It's a long, kind of drawn out tragedy, basically, if we don't get them clean and back to shape. The other part of this funding will go for handheld radios. As you know, our technology changes so quickly, and it also does that in our communications, our radios. Some of the radios we have right now, handheld radios, actually the bandwidth, the state essentially limits the amount of time you can kind of have that bandwidth, and some of it's kind of going away. You got to move on to, and then there's new technology also. So we're going to be purchasing several additional handheld radios. Some of those are going to go to our training division. We run a 16-week recruit school, and we want those recruits for the 16 weeks they're out there actually using the piece of equipment that we're going to hand them the day they go on a truck, so they know how to operate it in the dark, because that's generally when you're turning those things on. So that's what we're using the funding for. We're excited about it, and it's been we've been waiting for it for a long time, so we would really enjoy your approval of this contract.
Thank you, Chief.
Another issue, how are we doing on manpower?
It's always a struggle. We actually we will have 14 openings this year from retirees. We have just finished up a hiring list, and I've just called the next 14 people. Our numbers of applicants have really kind of dropped over the last probably 10 or 15 years, but the quality of our people is really good. So by the time we have basically 30 people on a hiring list right now. I will be obviously we'll be hiring 14 of those, so it gives us still some reserve after that. So it's been okay. We would like to have bigger numbers, but everything has kind of changed in that world. But we are getting good quality applicants, so we're thankful for that. We have our career center here in Lafayette has a fire and rescue academy that we started a number of years ago, so that's producing new candidates, quality candidates for us. So we're doing everything we can to kind of get the people to the door so we can bring them into the community.
Kind of growing your own, huh?
Yes, yeah, yeah, we are.
All right, thank you, sir.
Thank you. Any other comments or questions from council for the chief? Thank you, Chief.
Now,
Thank you.
I will offer just another point of clarification. This is for the additional appropriation. We are approving the actual contract that goes with that at Board of Works tomorrow. This is for the additional appropriation. Those funds were received at the end of 2022, but not prior to our budget season. So that is why we are coming for an additional appropriation, because the funds were received after you approved the 2023 budget.
Thank you.
Comments or questions from the public over this ordinance? Seeing none, would the clerk please conduct a roll call vote?
Clinker.
Aye.
Nargi.
Aye.
Weiss.
Aye.
Brown.
Aye.
Williamson.
Aye.
Downing.
Aye.
Ordinance passes 6-0.
Thank you. This ordinance will also need a public hearing to be set on March 6th at 6:02. I'll entertain a motion for that. Mr. Downing?
So moved.
Mr. Clinker?
Second.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right, thank you. On to resolutions. We have Resolution 2023-03.
A resolution approving an interlocal cooperation agreement between the City of Lafayette and the City of West Lafayette and the County of Tippecanoe concerning 4 Precious Paws low-cost spay and neuter clinic.
Thank you, Mrs. Nargi.
I move we hear Resolution 2023-03.
Thank you, Mrs. Hession-Weiss.
Second?
Thank you. Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. I don't know, have you seen the ladies? Are they here tonight by any
No, I
chance?
don't see 'em here.
They came to the Board of
Yeah.
Works meeting, so, okay, that's fine, thank you. Madam President, ladies and gentlemen of the council, just some quick background on this. As you know, Lafayette, West Lafayette, and Tippecanoe County are going together to create a new humane society. And I will just briefly say that that is going very well. I think the community is going to be very excited when it's done. The new relationships that we're building with Purdue University and the vet school, and I think it's moving in a very positive direction. I want to thank Cindy for taking point on that for us here at the city. I'm very pleased with where we're at this particular time. Part of that also is low-cost spayed and neuter. As you know, pet overpopulation across the country is a serious issue, and it's important that we have a low-cost option for folks in our community. Some of you might remember when 4 or 5 years ago, we worked with a group to get a low-cost spayed and neuter clinic started here. They were here for a while. Unfortunately, they ran into issues with their landlord, and so that was part of the problem. And we felt too that we may want to look for another solution, something that we felt as we move forward might work better within our community and the structure that we were looking to obtain. So we were thrilled to death. 2 ladies that live in Rossville operate a facility over in Kokomo. When they found out about this opportunity, we were able to talk with them, and they agreed to come here and open a low-cost spay and neuter in Lafayette. We are thrilled with their attitude, their energy, their commitment. I mean, they're the salt of the earth. They're just good people doing the right thing for animals and for the community. So much passion there. So this agreement between all 3 of us organizations is we're going to help them with rent. When you're offering low-cost services like they do, it takes a while to build up enough clientele coming in where you can be self-sustaining. And so this is an agreement to help them with rent, so much the first year, so much the second year, so much the third year. Same thing we did with the other organization, had the same type of agreement. This has a few provisions in it. If they do become self-sufficient before we get to this point, then we don't pay anymore. And so that's in there kind of as a checks and balance for us. They're great. I mean, that's the only way to put it. So Jackie, I don't know if there's anything specifically about the contract that you would like to mention also, but I can assure you that the county and West Lafayette are all very pleased with these folks and what they're going to do here.
And I will add, the City of Lafayette is the lead agency under this interlocal. The Board of Works last week or 2 weeks ago approved the actual subsidy agreement, and then each of the participating entities have to also approve it on there. And so the city will administer the funds, but there are contributions from both West Lafayette and Tippecanoe County. It is being funded, the subsidy 50% by Lafayette, 40% by Tippecanoe County, and 10% by West Lafayette.
And we did that based on, we have lots of data on number of animals that come into shelters and stuff based on the size of the community, and that's about what the breakdown works out to. So we think it's fair. We appreciate your support.
Will they be handling all the trap spay and release program as well?
You know, we're hoping that, we had a feral cat program for a while with volunteers. It lasted for a while and then kind of waned away. They're very interested in getting that started again and working with those folks, and yes. And there was somebody else that was very interested in and now that we've kind of got a new organization that was come forward, I don't
Yeah, I can remember her name.
recall
either.
their name, but this has generated a lot of new enthusiasm, so we're certainly hopeful and enthusiastic that once this is done, volunteerism and other things will go up. We're also going to be working with the county in West Lafayette to continue to strengthen our animal control ordinances and get them lined up so they're very, very close and very similar. We don't really want to be in the animal control business, so we want to do things to actually get us out of that business. So you'll see that at some point coming forward also.
Will any of these organizations be housed in the new shelter? Is there room for that, or?
In the new shelter, no, the space needed for the low-cost spade neuter, if that would have worked out just perfectly, in a perfect world, that's probably what you would do. But as you know, we're using the building and the ground that the county already owned at the, out at the county extension building and adding on. And so when we looked at cost per square foot of what we needed to do that, and then looked what they could do, they're out off Kepner Drive now, out off McCarty Lane. They got a very favorable agreement out there for some space. When we looked at that, it just didn't make sense financially. We are putting in a, I don't know if it's used the word oversized, but a decent sized surgery suite because we're building a relationship with Purdue, and we believe that their vet students will be coming over and helping with surgeries, with spade and neuter and some things like that in our shelter. So we've put some additional size on that piece of it. So we're trying to balance all of those costs per square foot numbers.
Sure.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Any other comments or questions from council? Comments or questions from members of the audience over Resolution 2023-03? Seeing none, would the clerk please conduct a roll call vote?
Parker?
Aye.
Nargi?
Aye.
Lees?
Aye.
Brown?
Aye.
Williamson?
Aye.
Downing?
Aye.
Resolution passes 6-0.
Thank you. Up next is our last resolution, Resolution 2023-04.
A resolution to approve the City of Lafayette Home Investment Partnership Program, American Rescue Plan, Home ARP Allocation Plan.
Thank you, Mr. Brown.
Madam President, I move that we hear and approve Resolution 2023-04 on first reading.
Thank you, Mrs. Williamson.
Second.
Hello.
Michelle Reynolds, Lafayette Housing Authority. So I'm here today because the City of Lafayette received a one-time allocation of home ARP funds, which is American Rescue Plan, for $2,967,029. These are to address the need for housing and supportive services for the homeless population. These funds have specific populations that it can serve, though. So homeless, at risk of homelessness, fleeing or attempting to flee domestic violence, dating violence, sexual assault, stalking, or human trafficking, families requiring services to prevent homelessness, those at greatest risk of instability, and veterans of families or with a veteran that meets the previous definition. This plan has to be submitted before March 31st. That's the deadline from HUD. So we've already had the plan out there since January 2nd on the Housing Authority website. So there's been no public comment yet, or hasn't been any public comment. After HUD approves the plan, we'll be able to review specific applications at the Housing Consortium. The nice thing is that the funds don't expire until 9/30 of 2030. So we have 7 years. So your approval of the resolution will authorize the mayor to submit the allocation plan to HUD before the deadline. And the Housing Consortium has a meeting on the 15th.
Comments or questions from council? Okay, comments or questions from members of the audience over Resolution 2023-04? Kevin?
I think this is a good thing. I've been homeless for 10 years in the community.
Could you state your name, please?
Okay. Hi, my name's Tyler Beach. I've been homeless in the community of Muncie, Kokomo, and Lafayette for 10 years. I completed my application for Lafayette Housing Authority yesterday. I'm told that there's a 3-year span or waiting list. Lafayette Transitional Housing Center, I've been through them, but I wasn't funded or found any housing after years of requesting service. I've been through the economic development with public permanent supportive housing with Adam Murphy, and nothing seems to have a secure or security with housing. And I think if we could find something that kind of nests the security and sobriety for those people while we're investing this money in the community, that would be best for people like me who've come from domestic violence, substance abuse, you know, still to this day is getting beat down the street. And so that's all I have to say about that. It's just security. I find something really secure, you know. So, and, you know, I'd be willing to help rebuild the new homes. That's one of the biggest things. If I had a secure home in my favor in return for that, I would help build new homes. So, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Sir, do you have a secure place to stay right now?
It isn't so secure. I live with my father, but times are tough, and the family, the nuclear family, is suffering under stress. And a lot of these nuclear families are using substances just to stay awake and work. And so that's where I'm staying. I'm staying with my father. I love him. I would do anything for him, but it isn't my ideal. I'm 30 years old. I'm ready to nest and become the best possible community member and proceed in my career. Okay.
Bless you.
Thank you.
Any other comments from the public? Would the clerk please conduct a roll call vote?
Blinker.
Aye.
Nargi.
Aye.
Weiss.
Aye.
Brown.
Aye.
Williamson.
Aye.
Downing.
Aye.
Resolution passes 6-0.
Thank you. Any reports to standing committees? Reports to special committees? Mr. Mayor, you have a report for us tonight.
Yeah, and I know it's already kind of been a long meeting, but I gotta tell you, this is a little bit longer than normal. So I got a lot I wanted to talk about, so, you have to Cindy got the timer there. You're gonna have to bear with me a little bit. It's the first time that we've ever done this using your monitors and the TV. Patty and I practiced a couple times. Hope we're on, task with each other for her to move it through. So bear with us a little bit, but I think there's some important information in here, and I want to make sure that we get it out. And then obviously this will all be, we'll put it up on our website for people to be able to look at the information, the charts and the graphs and the different things as we move forward. So, with that, I'll get started. Madam President, members of the City Council, those in attendance, and all the citizens of Lafayette, it is my honor to deliver to you my State of the City address. I'd like to begin by thanking our citizens. The strength of any community is its people. I'm proud to be part of a community where collaboration is valued, where government, faith-based groups, schools, and social service organizations come together. I would like to thank the City Council, who work diligently to represent their constituents. Cindy Murray, our city clerk, and my dear close personal friend for all of her hard work. The Board of Works and all the members of our boards and commissions who give of their time in service to Lafayette. I'm honored to work with an incredible group of department heads who comprise our leadership team and all our dedicated city employees. As you are aware, one of the responsibilities of the City Council is to be the fiscal body and to ensure the wise use of our tax dollars. I'm pleased to report that we are once again in a strong financial position. The current rainy day fund has $7,011,334 in it. In 2004, that fund had $11,200 in it. Our operating balances have increased. We have developed investment and debt management policies that continue to work well. We have $6,685,000 in edit reserves, which brings our total reserves to $13,696,334, which is 29.4% of the general fund and 17.7% of the civil city budget. I'm also pleased to report, as you know, the 2023 budget actually lowered our tax rate. Our utility finances are in a strong position, and our tax increment financing districts all have positive cash flows. So overall, we are in very good financial condition. I'd now like to discuss public safety. I know this is a topic for folks, and discuss how safe our community is and present an accurate and transparent accounting of statistics actually over the last 21 years of data in our community. We will be discussing Part 1 crimes that we report to the FBI and are considered the most serious offenses. They're homicide, rape, robbery, aggravated assault, burglary, larceny, auto theft, and arson. The overall news is good. Part 1 crimes in Lafayette continue to trend downward. With the help of analyst Micah Lupa, we went back to 2002. That's 21 years of Part 1 crime data. And the fact is that in 2002, there were 3,400 Part 1 crimes in Lafayette. In 2022, there were 2,253. That is a decrease of 1,147 Part 1 crimes over that period. So we'll take a look at the first graph there, and I can't walk away from the microphone, so this is going to be a little hard. So if you look, for the audience, if you look at that first graph, you can go back to 2002. You can see where the 3,400 is of Part 1 crimes, and you can look that we've tracked that over the years up to 2022. It goes up, it goes down. You can see where the peak of the opioid crisis is, 2013 to 2016, and that's when those numbers were the highest. If we could go to the next graph then. So we tracked that and looked at it then by percentage. So if you look at 2023, which actually was a little higher than 2016, that number is 3,819 Part 1 crimes. That's the highest number we've had since 2002. If you look at where that number is now in 2022, that is actually a 41% decrease in Part 1 crimes in our community since that peak in 2013. If you go back all the way to 2002, wasn't the peak, but it was a lot of years earlier, that's a 33% decrease in overall Part 1 crimes in the community. And I think that represents a tremendous job that our police department is doing. If you remember in 2016, the drug epidemic, the opioid crisis was sweeping the entire United States. I went back and looked. Governor Pence spoke about it in his State of the State address. Loretta Rush, the Chief Justice, was giving presentations around the state about the opioid crisis. And here at the City of Lafayette, that was the year that we announced our initiatives to increase public safety along with what we were seeing in the opioid crisis. So we announced our initiatives, and then we've continued to put in initiatives through our long-term plan all the way up to today. So a lot of times, you know, I'll get asked, well, what are you guys doing about crime or about public safety? And really, it's for all of us to work on, and I'll talk about that in a minute. But just for the sake of the public and for the sake of the council, I want to go over at least the majority of, not all of them, because it would take too long, of the initiatives that we have started since 2016. We started a take-home car program for our officers. That year, we budgeted 5 new police officers and a new dispatcher. We created the Community Outreach Division. We took a multifaceted approach to dealing with abandoned houses and hired an additional housing inspector. We opened up additional spots on the Street Crimes Unit and the Drug Task Force. We hired 2 full-time criminal analysts. We hired a downtown security officer. We created a 4th captain's position, the Captain of Special Operations. We created the ARC, the Analysis Response Center, inside the police department next to our dispatch center. We increased to our CSI. We've always had crime scene investigators, but now we have an additional crime scene investigators that are civilians. They're not sworn, they're civilians that are doing that all day, every day, looking through all the digital type of information that you receive in the course of a criminal investigation. Phone records, Facebook posts, Instagram posts, all of those things that people do that might give a clue. So we have 3 civilians doing that full-time too, on top of the other sworn crime scene investigators that we have. We also deployed 8 flock license plate recognition cameras. And as you remember, for those of you that were on the council at the time in the Board of Works, we brought it, we had a press conference about it. We were open with the public. We explained why we felt these were necessary and important, and it went very well. And I want to give you some information on how well that's actually worked. So since we've deployed those 8 cameras, and we have 2 more that we should be deploying soon, it has led to numerous arrests for hit-and-run accidents, auto theft, drug offenses, felony warrants, sexual assaults, domestic batteries, aggravated batteries, and assisted in locating vehicles involved in shootings and homicides. These arrests have resulted in the recovery of stolen vehicles, stolen property, drug seizures, gun seizures, and vital assistance in numerous investigations. The LPR cameras have also locating missing persons, tracking criminal activity, and they provided leads and information in solving local, state, and federal crimes. More than 20 hit-and-run suspect vehicles have been located and the drivers cited. 15 stolen vehicles have been recovered, and over 80 arrests are attributed to the system. In addition, we started a drone program. We worked with community organizations to help provide services to our families and youth. We are financial partners in the new YMCA and the North End Community Center. We restructured the detective division into 2 new groups, the Special Victims Unit and the Violent Crimes Unit. We also, tonight, with the help of the City Council, will have our new community advocate and resource navigator position going out to daily help the police department with cases involving mental health, addiction, and as we talked about, we really hope to grow that program to 2 to 3 people. That's just a kind of a good example of all the different things that we've been doing and that we are continuing to do day in and day out with the police department. If we could go to the next graph, I think it's also important, you know, Lafayette has really grown. We've grown, I think, way more than the census has said we've grown. I think the COVID really messed up the census numbers. But even if you use those, you know, most of the time when you hear about population growth, just kind of all types of crimes start to go up at some level. There's just more people around. Of course, Lafayette is during the day and night, we are the center of everything from healthcare to shopping to entertainment to employment, you name it. We're the center of a big portion of central Indiana. But as you can see, even though the population has grown, those Part 1 crime numbers have still continued to track downward. And I think that's something else that's very important to point out. I want to talk now something I know has got a lot of attention lately, and I want to make sure the council and the community really understand what's going on and how we look at this and the tremendous work, again, that I believe the police department is doing. So this graph here shows crimes that have been committed involving a firearm by year, where a firearm was discharged. It is possible to create a crime, to do a crime, obviously, with a weapon, but without discharging it. But this is one where weapons were discharged. So if you look at 2020, you can see we have it listed by homicides, shootings with an injury, shootings with no injury, and then just shots fired. So I know it seems a little confusing, but you have situations where there's a homicide, then you have situations where people get shot for various things happen. I mean, it could be in the commission of some type of crime. It could be different things in a domestic violence situation, but where someone doesn't pass away. And it can also be in a situation where, you know, we had a situation recently where a 3-year-old got their parents' firearm and ended up discharging the firearm. So there are a variety of things that can lead to discharging a firearm where there is an injury. Then we have ones where there are no injuries. The difference between that and shots fired, again, you can explain this, is that there was potential that there could be an injury in those, right? Maybe somebody shot into a vehicle that could have been occupied, they don't know, or at a house or something like that. So that's one of the situations where somebody could have been injured, but they were not. Then the final one is just shots fired. For whatever reason, people shoot guns into the air. They shoot mailboxes, stop signs. I mean, they shoot different things, right? But we track, for people that ask, well, what are you doing? We track all of them. As you can see, every single one of those are tracked. And with the reassignment and the restructuring of the detective division, someone is assigned to every one of those cases, even if it's just somebody shooting up into the air. And if we can prove that they did, they'll make an arrest because the bullet has to come down, right? So we take it very, very seriously. The police department takes it very, very seriously, and the strategies are starting to work. So if you look at 2020, there were 110 total incidents of all the different things that could have happened. In 2021, there was 94 total incidents. In 2022, there was 70. So that's about a 36% decrease. So we still have work to do. We know that. But the things that we're doing are working. And I don't know that there's anybody that could argue across the entire country there are more guns in the country than there ever been, and more individuals that are willing to use those or use violence as a source of solving a problem. So this is reality. This is what's going on. This is the breakdown. Joe Clyde and Detective, him and I met, and we continue to meet. They track every one of these. And so I'm proud of the work they're doing, and we're going to continue to work on that. So in summary, the Violent Crimes Unit is assigned, somebody's assigned to every one of these cases. Fortunately, most of our shootings do not result in someone passing away. And the vast, vast majority of all our shootings involve people that are involved with illegal narcotics, some type of criminal enterprise, or unfortunately, domestic violence. And that's the sad one there is the domestic violence. So that also makes it challenging, and I'm ad-libbing here a little bit because you just never know where they're going to happen or when they're going to happen or what triggers something in a family or a relationship for those to happen. So kind of again, in summary, overall, crime is trending downward. The total number of Part 1 crimes is lower in 2022 than it was in 2002. 2022 was the lowest number of robberies in 20 years. 2022 was the lowest number of burglaries and larcenies in 21 years. We are very excited, and we continue to find new ways to fight back. Our new $51 million Public Safety Center is on track for completion in 2023 and will be a state-of-the-art facility with cutting-edge technology leading us into the 21st century to further reduce and address criminal activity. So we're very excited. That should open about the end of March. And there are things in there that we have never had before in the past, and we're very excited about that. I will say again, the men and women of the Lafayette Police Department are doing a tremendous job. The City of Lafayette's initiatives are working, but the reality is we need every citizen to do their part to keep this community safe. I said this today, I'm ad-libbing here. When we were with the governor and everybody today, I applauded him for the legislative recommendations he's made for public health and for schools and to get teachers' pay and more money into the schools. Because the reality is the police department can only do so much. There are only so much that they can do day in and out. If you want to reduce overall crime, you want to make your community safer, you want to make sure that we have the workforce of the future, the citizens we want in the future to be the next leaders, the talent that we want, great employees, all of those things, the number one thing we have to do is take care of our youth, right? To ensure that we raise our children in a way that they are not involved in family traumas, that they are not involved in situations that lead to mental health issues, substance abuse issues, or making poor choices that lead them into criminal activity. That's the long-term solution to this. If we don't do that, you can't expect, those numbers will never be zero, right? But the best way to get them as close as possible is to ensure that our youth grow up in healthy, supportive environment. We know a lot of them are challenged. They don't have role models at home that they need. So that's what we talk about. When every citizen has a role to play, that's what we're talking about. We need people to become CASA volunteers. We need people to be big brothers and big sisters, to work at Hannah Center, Bauer, give to the United Way, be involved in our schools, support early childhood education, support more counselors in schools to help these kids. That's the key to almost everything that we do, to ensure that these young people have those opportunities, have that stability to become good citizens, a good workforce of the future, and good leaders of the future. And so I challenge, there were 750 people there today. I asked each and every one of them, you know, what can you do? What can you do to help a child in the community? All right, we're going to talk about the fire department here for just a minute. I'm also pleased to report that the fire department maintained its ISO rating of 2, placing it in the top 1% of all fire departments in the country. So there's about 40,000 fire departments that get ranked. It's a 1 to 10 scale. 10 is the worst, 1 is the best. We're at a 2. A city our size is going to be hard to get to a 1, but we're going to keep after it. But a 2 is, like I said, 1% of all fire departments in the country. It's important not only for safety, but for the insurance rates that people pay. So being a 2 is a lot better for everybody than if we were a 10. So I'm also pleased to report that we have purchased 8 new fire trucks in the last 9 years. And I'd like to thank the men and women of the Lafayette Fire Department for their outstanding service. I would like to give, it's going to embarrass him a little bit, but I'd like to give a special heartfelt thank you this evening to Chief Richard Doyle, who is also my friend, and who will be retiring this year. Chief Doyle served as chief for 11 years, and he's been on the department for 39, and he's down to a few months. His time is winding down. So Chief Doyle, thank you. Also, the Lafayette Fire Department administration will be moving to City Hall once the police department relocates to the new public safety building. They will occupy the first floor of the current police station. This will create efficiencies not only with the police department, but with other city departments. And for the first time, we will have a true public safety complex. All right, now we're going to begin the slideshow. Get to the right spot here. And I will try to talk fast. All right, here we go. Loeb Stadium. So Loeb's been open for a couple years now. People are just really, really embracing Loeb Stadium. We started our concert series with America this year. You can see all the awards that the stadium has already won. And we're just very, very pleased. Justin Moore was our second concert. Again, people really enjoyed it. And as you can see there, we hosted 174 events at Loeb Stadium in 2002. So we're very excited. It's worked out like we'd hoped it would, and we feel it has a very bright future. All right. We also want to talk some more about Parks and Recreation. We completed Murdoch Park Playground this year. In 2023, we'll be redoing Arlington and Munger. We'll be in the design phase for a new playground at Columbian Park. The SIA playground has lived just about its useful life, and it's time for a new playground there. And also, we're really excited. Armstrong Park in the south end gets a lot of use, and we're going to create a new playground there that is going to have a much, much larger footprint than the current playground there, and we think people are really going to enjoy that. This is McCall Park. We're going to do substantial upgrades to McCall Park. As you can see, we're going to put in a new dog park. People love their animals, and we already have one, but we need a second one. This one's going to be really cool. It's going to have a pooch splash pad, all kinds of tunnels and things for the dogs to do, wash stations for the animals. People really enjoy spending time with their animal. It's a recreation for them, and we want to make sure that we're meeting their needs. We're going to add 110 new parking spots on the side with the playground, on top of the 30 that were there, so it'll give us 140 spaces over there now as opposed to 30. Also, with the dog park, we'll be building a new restroom facility at McCall, so we'll have 2 there instead of 1. And that'll kind of take what we're going to do in the first phase. The second phase, we'll be adding 2 new pickleball courts. 10 new pickleball courts, a new basketball court, and a new trail that will go around the whole park and then connect over on Union and Creasy to get folks to other designated trails and other parks throughout the community. So we're very excited about another busy year in our parks. We're also going to be upgrading our eagle and otter exhibits in the park. We're starting the design on the new primate exhibit and a new commissary building. So people love our parks, and just want to thank the staff at Claudine for all they do, but we're going to continue to make sure they stay in great shape, and we continue to expand those services. Next, we're going to talk a little bit about the Pearl River. We're going to show you a video, just a few facts real quick. Since we've started the CSO projects in 2005, we've stopped 7.4 billion gallons of sewage from running into the Wabash River. Every project we've done to this point, all total, we're stopping now about 800 million gallons a year. So if you think about it, we had to start off slow, building the tunnel and everything, and it took us quite a few years to get to that 7.4 billion mark. But now that we're up to 800 million a year, we'll knock several years off by the time we get to that again. So it just shows how much progress we're making, and a huge hats off to Brad Talley and his team. Yep.
Just went down that way.
There's our first solar field. There's also a solar field on the roof of the new police station. Thank you. Again, hats off to Brad. As you can see, Brad was designated as a Hoosier Resilience Hero for all the work that he's done, not just for these, but for many of the many projects and some other awards that members of his team has won. On that slide, I'd done the calculation. It took about 18 years to get to the 7.4 billion. Now that we're doing 800 million, in 10 years, we'll surpass that. So we're really almost cut the time in half. So just a great, great job for what they're doing. All right, to the water department, as you know, we finished the Murdoch Park booster station this year. That's a backup to the Columbian Park reservoir and another way of us pumping water, keeping pressure, fire protection throughout the city. And for the first time, we really have two alternatives. The Columbian Park Reservoir has been the only one really for ever since it was created. So this gives us two alternatives. Great project for Steve Moore and his team at the Water Department, and we're very excited about what it means. I'm going to speed up a little bit. I can tell I'm getting those looks. So we're also building a new water tower out at Wee All Ridge. That's a growing area of the community. This will help with water pressure and fire protection, and we're very excited about that. You've all heard about the housing shortages. We've worked very hard here to extend utilities at the proper times for a mixture of homes, business, industrial. We wanted to be smart about making sure we didn't vacate our urban cores, that we were smart environmentally as we went out into new green spaces and those things. About 10 years ago, we did a housing study, and we did studies with MKSK. As you can see, it's caused our downtown to boom. But it is time to extend those utilities a little further out into the county. We need ground for housing, and as we work towards other developments. So we're in the process now of doing the design on two service areas, 11B and 11A. This is the largest service area right there. When we do the first initial build out, it'll open up 1,000 acres for development, and over time, as we continue to build it out, we'll have the capacity to actually open up 4,000 acres too. So we'll all be gone by the time they need all that, but we are positioning the community honestly for the future and to make sure the next generations have the infrastructure and items in place to ensure continued growth and prosperity in our community. The next one's a smaller one. It's out towards Rainy Brook. That first one was to the south and east. This is to the south and west, out towards Rainy Brook, and it'll open up about 325 acres for additional development. So when everything's said and done, about 4,300 acres total. So again, thank you to Water and Renew and the engineer's office for everybody that's working on that. Next, we broke ground on our Public Works campus. As you know, we are going to co-locate street, sanitation, and fleet to a new facility located off McCarty Lane across from Cat Park. That's just about the geographic center of the city now, plus the building that they're in. We have definitely got our money's worth out of it. It's about 70 years old, maybe even a little older than that. And so this will allow us to be much more efficient, effective as we deploy trash trucks, recycling trucks, people that pick up the leaves, the limbs, work on the roads, plow the snow, across those multiple platforms. We'll be leaving kind of from the center of the city as we do that work. We'll have much nicer facilities, and the good thing, for the first time in history, we will be able to put all of our equipment indoors. So it will not be setting out year-round in the weather. So everything will fit, and we'll get it indoors. We did a lot of paving this year, 15 miles worth of paving and 9 miles worth of RejuveTech. That was a lot of paving for us to get done in 1 year. We're going to continue to try to keep that up. I do tell people, even with all that, that only represents about 8% of all of our streets, to give you an idea of the enormity of what we try to do. The good thing, if you remember that number, when people say we have every street in town tore up, you say, no, really, it's only 8%. Yeah. 92% of them are still wide open. So you heard a little bit earlier about affordable housing. We just wanted to make sure that people understand that the city knows that's an issue. We are a strong partner with Habitat for Humanity and through CDBG funds. Over the last, since 2008, we've given $3,878,100 to Habitat for Humanity here locally to build those homes. We've also donated several lots. So we are a strong partner with Habitat. As you also might know, we've helped with H38, Chatham Square, and the rehabilitations in the Glen Acres and Vinton neighborhoods. So We continue to understand that we need to continue to work on that, and we need housing options across all grades and all pay ranges and all economic situations. So we're going to continue to work on that. All right, let's take a quick walk down memory lane. This is kind of fun. These next buildings we're going to show you are all public-private partnerships where the city has played a role financially through the use of TIF dollars and other things to make these projects possible. And if you think back, we're talking about vacant lots or almost empty, rundown buildings. In 2004, and some of you have been with Cindy and I the whole time, none of these buildings existed. So we're very pleased with where downtown has went. Our first project was the Renaissance Place. The next project was the Springs. After that, we went to the Mark. That was the third project we were involved with. Next was Pullman Station. That was the fourth project we were involved with. After that was Nova Tower, then the Ellsworth, and then finally, I'm going fast, I'm sorry, I'm going fast, the Luna. So those 8 buildings, as most of them were vacant parking lots, didn't exist when we started. So downtown has really transformed itself, and we continue to move it in that direction. Also, Jeff Ryder, for those of you that's been involved, as you know, railroad relocation property. We worked with Jeff we moved some sewers. We did some different things with the Pearl River for the Luna and our building, and then moved some other stuff to allow some downtown development. So the Ryder development is now underway. He's committed over the next several years to spending almost $12 million building houses and other properties in that area, and so we're very excited about where that is going. All right, it was another good year economically. That's the new SIA Logistics Center that opened up. Also working with our neighborhoods. As you know, we have formal plans now with Wabash, historic Jefferson. We're working on the Lincoln neighborhood, and of course, we've worked for years with Centennial on the Centennial Townhomes and some other projects there. So we're excited to keep that going. It was a strong year for small businesses in our community. We know how important those are, and so really appreciative to all those small business owners out there for the investments that they continue to make. As you know, Lafayette, West Lafayette, and Tippecanoe County went the last several years, worked together to develop a comprehensive climate action plan for their community. Numerous meetings, focus groups, surveys, working with our local business and industry. But that plan is finished, and we now are moving into the implementation phase. So stay tuned for more information to come about how everybody can get involved as we ensure that we are a climate resilient community. And we've, really, as we did this and got started, it really made us take a look. And like I said, Brad did our first solar field at the station there. There's a solar field on the top of the police station, and before the year is over, we should have a third solar field under construction down at the wastewater treatment plant. So moving forward with a lot of good things. Trees are a very important thing what we do. We wanted to mention this year that we've always been a Tree USA for many years, 30 years, but this year we were designated a Tree City of the World. And there are only 3 Indiana communities that have that designation from what I've been told. So we're very pleased with that, and we plan to continue to make, work on our urban forest, our urban canopy, and our goal is to plant 1,000 new trees in the next 5 years. We talked already about the new Humane Society, so I'm not going to dwell on that, but you'll see construction start this spring, and so get ready. I want to talk just a little bit about quality of life. Things are going well at the Long Center, the Lafayette Theater, Loeb Stadium, and the new amphitheater at Columbian Park. Between the 4 of them, we're doing a variety of different types of music, entertainment, comedians. That's just really, really wonderful, and it's working out the way that we hoped that it would. So, in conclusion, Lafayette is moving in a very positive direction. We have unprecedented economic growth, infrastructure improvements, park and recreational upgrades, quality of life initiatives, and our unwavering commitment to public safety. So thank you to each and every one of you and of all of our citizens for making this such a wonderful community.
Thank you very much, Mr. Mayor. On behalf of the council, we'd like to thank you and Mrs. Murray for your continued leadership and dedication to the city, and to all the city employees and citizens of Lafayette who continue to make this such a great place to live and grow. We thank you very much. All right, miscellaneous and new business. Reports of council people. Yes, ma'am.
I'm sorry, I don't want to belabor things, but so many times we have people talk to us about the fact that there's so much discord in politics or in government. And I think that you can tell by what is going on in Lafayette and the greater Lafayette community that I am very proud to be an elected official in a community where we all work together, regardless of our R or D behind our names. And I tell people this constantly: do not obsess over politics at the federal level. That doesn't affect your daily lives one iota. This kind of thing that you've heard here this evening does. And I hope that you are as proud to be a part of this community as we are to serve you. And I want to thank the mayor and the city clerk, certainly for their guidance and leadership, and all the department heads.
It wasn't on purpose.
That you've done, and I guess I got But thank you so much for making this a community in which we are proud to live and work in.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
I do want to quickly commend these wonderful scouts who sat through an hour and a half meeting this evening. Nice job, thank you.
They came to one of our longest meetings.
Yeah.
It's our future.
Okay, we will open the floor for public comment. We ask that you keep your remarks to 3 minutes. Please state your name and address when addressing the council, and as always, courtesy and kindness goes a long way. Yes, sir.
Thank you. My name's Kirk Freeman, 1200 Ridgeway Avenue, up on the north end. Last month, we talked about the 4 reforms that the city council can implement at no cost. Last month's focus was the political extremists being involved in the Lafayette Police Department. However, since that talk, the news has come out about the beating death of Tyree Nichols in Memphis, Tennessee, by the street crimes unit down there. And these 4 same principles, and we'll review them in a minute, can also be applied not only to political extremists to root out the Nazis, the Klan members, what have you, involved in city administration, city government, but they can also be applied to officers involved in normal crimes, such as in Tyree Nichols. And I point out that the officers allegedly involved in the murder of Tyree Nichols came from other police departments. And that's why I think these reforms are so vital to our city. First, of course, is the public sourcing of any and all applicants of the Lafayette Police Department. The more people know, the more information that can be obtained. I point out and remind the council again that the only reason the Lafayette police recruit Nazi was caught was because of open sourcing. Members of the public made the background checks and made the discovery in his ties to extremist groups. Second, the city council should be more involved and more appreciative of investigations and grand juries. I do not believe, as a matter of good governance, we can turn the other cheek, we can wash our hands, we can wipe our hands and say it's all on law enforcement, it's all on the criminal track. There are many things that the city council can do for administrative purposes as far as holding the Lafayette Police accountable. Thirdly, I urge you again to adopt a resolution, especially now that the General Assembly's in session, to give up on qualified immunity. Qualified immunity is an affront to the Constitution, an absolute affront to the 14th Amendment and the purposes of why it was passed by Senator Howard and Representative Binghamton after the Civil War. Fourth, I urge the City Council to take civil judgments against the city, not from the taxpayers, but from police pension funds. This will provide the good apples in the Lafayette Police Department an incentive to report and lean on and keep in line those bad apples, as we saw in Tyree Nichols. I think these four reforms are vital in controlling the Lafayette Police Department, not only for political extremists, but the mundane day-to-day crimes that we've seen in the Lafayette Police Department. Drug use, theft, criminal recklessness, whatnot. I think if the council takes these matters up at no cost to the taxpayers of Lafayette, it can achieve what it wants to do, an honest, upfront, investigatory service like the Lafayette Police Department. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Green.
Good afternoon, Perry Barbie, 3700 Rosebud Avenue. First, I want to thank the Scouts for being with us tonight. I'm always glad to see the Scouts do the pledge with us and then sit to the whole time with us. And I think that's great. They're our future. And I'd like to thank the mayor for an outstanding job to give us what the great city's been doing. And of course, our city clerk, she's right there behind and doing everything. Everybody says how bad our police is. I think we got one heck of a good police department. I'm very blessed with our police department. And I just can't thank enough how good our police and our fire department is. I think everybody's doing a great job. Keep up the great work, everybody.
Thank you.
Thanks,
Thank you.
Yeah, go ahead.
Hello, my name is Tyler Beach. I wanted to bring to attention the issues with LTHC. For instance, their policies, what I had expected or supposed of them, and their way of running things. When they first began the blueprints and the idea of establishing the building down there, this was to be a program, 6 months, where you wouldn't bring in your own furniture, and that the place would be governed and ruled with good policy, and drugs and prostitution would be allowed. But when I go down there, I noticed that all the loitering, it centralizes around the enterprise of drugs and prostitution, including children. And the pain and suffering that I see and that I've endured myself is self-sustaining. So rather than healing itself, it's making itself worse, and it's keeping itself divided. I just want to say that it's very apparent when you walk up to the building, and on the back you have this big blue sign, and I love the color blue. It's one of my favorites. It's powder blue and white sign, you know, and it says, you know, no smoking, no foul language, pick up your trash, do not alter the locks, and the lock's busted on the trash can. There's trash all over the floor. And people are smoking and they're horse playing around, and it says no sleeping on the sidewalks, and they're sleeping all around the sidewalks. And as a citizen, you know, I'll speak to these people and try to assist them in any way that I can, but I'll also remind them that there are policies in place. I don't ever try to step on anyone's toes or overstep my boundaries, but I'm a man who sticks to the paper and what is written. And I always think that it would get me through, but it hasn't gotten me through. It's seen me in a lot of trouble, and I'm happy to be alive, lucky to be alive. And so I was hoping maybe we could do something a little bit more assertive with the people involved in that board of members. So thank you.
Any additional public comment this evening? Entertain a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second?
Second?
All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you, ladies and gentlemen.